All right. Spell candle. I have a feeling I'm going to really like the art in this game. Like, they've done a pretty good job with some of the character designs and stuff I've seen from the trailers. Tea is set up. Nice. We're going to have some tea. Have some good games. I'm drinking some of my coffee right now. Well, let's see what we can find in this game. And you too, if you want to check out the demo, you can go to Steam and download it yourself. How far are you willing to go to contain war in a glass dome? How many parents would you be willing to sacrifice? How many brothers would you kill? Would you grow numb to the pain? Become a zealous leader? Willing to sacrifice anything for the greater good? Turn a blind eye to the orphans on the streets? Ignore those disabled begging for coin? Steal, bribe, and extort for a chance at peace? How many decisions would leave you lying awake at night, counting the souls you sent to the slaughter? Can living in war for millennia truly be considered life? Aww. A loud whistle breaks the silence, rendering the carriage to a sudden stop. The tip of my quill shatters as it smashes into the paper before I can put down my next thought on the page. Identity control. A shout comes from the outside, and I put my notepad down, scoffing at the ruined nib. This was the third one today, and I'm tempted to throw my hands up in frustration and scream. We all have those kinds of days. I was selected to be the Assyrian delegation's reporter for this year's Dread Festival. It should be considered a great honor to be able to report on your country's political victories, no matter how small. But you can't expect a caged bird to sing happily. Ooh, I like that. That's good writing. I reach into my leather satchel to find my identification documents before stepping out of my petite carriage. I feel... choices. Pleased by the chance to stretch my legs. Annoyed that I have to go through this. Curious to finally get a peek at the outside. Enthusiastic that we've likely almost reached our destination. For me, honestly, I think I'm gonna put pleased by the chance to stretch my legs. Just a few feet ahead, an elven woman is going through the papers of an older gentleman from our contingent. And what role do you fulfill within this delegation? Her voice is like the sharp-pointed end of an ancient spear. I am the senator representing the region of the Beastlands. The elf sniffs the air around the delegate and frowns. She's beautiful. Glimmering mercury eyes peek out from underneath short bangs the color of milky quartz. Her skin, like deep iron ores, glitters gently in the rays of daylight. After a very thorough read of the man's identification documents, she hands them back to him without a word. I find myself nervous as the elf's long knife like ears twitch and her attention shifts to me. I'd never seen anything like it. Her cold gaze examines me from head to toe before she reaches a hand out. Identification documents? I hand them over, and she scans through them quickly. Enter your name here and then press enter. We are the Steen. Choose your pronouns. We will be she, her today. And what role do you fulfill within this delegation? Ooh, I like all these choices. I was selected by the Empire to take an account of the Dread Festival for an article. I am here to report on the mutually beneficial relationship between our nations. I'll be writing a positive piece about Quillian Gilar's leadership. I plan to record our general's involvement in foreign affairs for our newspapers. I think we'll do the top one again. I was selected by the Empire to take an account of the Dread Festival for an article. I was selected by the Empire to take an account of the Dread Festival for an article. Her eyebrows raise slightly at my response. After a moment, she nods, accepting my explanation. And your general? Where could I find him? The question perplexes me. Though the delegation had been traveling for several weeks, I hadn't encountered the infamous Shadow Master once. Had I? Uh-oh. Upon seeing my bewildered expression, the elf offers a small explanation. He was not in his carriage. Perhaps because he got bored of being confined in a turbulent box for days. Voice responds before I can open my mouth to formulate an apology. I step back from the carriage and seek out its source. Hello. Upon the wooden roof of my small carriage relaxed one of the most beautiful gentlemen I have ever seen. Very true. With his eyes closed, the expression was so serene that I found myself wondering if I misheard him speak. Shadow Master, may day and night preserve you. The man on the roof of my carriage opened his eyes and leveled the woman with a cold gaze. His eyes were the color of the flags of our empire. The color of blood and dangerous forbidden things. He is pretty. I could hear the elven woman swallow from besides me so vividly. I wondered if the world around us had fallen quiet on purpose. May I please see your documents, General? He does not look amused. A frown crossed his features before he quietly sat up, slid his feet over to the edge of the carriage, and jumped down with the grace of a cat. Here. He pushed a stack of documents that was so thick into the hands of the elf that it made me gape. It might take you a few days. He smirked, and I wondered where on himself he kept a pocket large enough to hold all that paper. Good question. The elf blinked, scanned through the first few pages, then flipped through the next few with shaky hands, her face growing paler by the second. Do we peek into the papers or keep watching him? Let's keep watching him. The political leader of our delegation crosses his arms behind his back, his expression neutral as he scans the surrounding environment. I feel my breath hitch as his gaze passes over me for a split second. Uh-oh. The elf suddenly thrusts the pages back at the general and gives him a shaky nod and thank you before wobbling off to the next carriage. Was that necessary? The man's notorious crimson gaze turns to me. She asked for my papers. He shrugged. Was it my fault that she wasn't ready for what was on them? That is true. Somehow this behavior does little to surprise me. It might have been considered to let her know beforehand or fall silent. I think I'm gonna fall silent. An uncomfortable silence falls over us, and I notice the way his gaze wanders down below my waist, scrutinizing me. Aww. A frown crosses his lips. Aww. I follow his eyes and... Fuck, the inkwell I had left on the seat beside me must have spilled when the carriage came to a sudden halt. Oops. I have been inked. Not in front of the cutie, no. He stared pointedly at a large black stain on the side of my pants. I hope you're not planning on wearing that to the welcome dinner. Of course not. I may have been planning on it. So of course not. I highly suggest not embarrassing yourself or the Empire by doing so. I will not be a disgrace, I'm sorry. Everything about this man was irritating. I won't. The look he gave me was of complete apathy. I grit my teeth. A low, high-pitched whistle traveled from the gates ahead of us. Someone is giving us the all-clear. The clicking of metallic hinges echo in the air, and I take it as my sign to return to the peace of my small carriage. I hope you have a good day, General. There wasn't a single sincere word in that sentence. Uh-oh. He raised a set of eyebrows as I stepped into my carriage. Making sure to avoid the spilled ink, I turned around and shut the door in his face. Sassy. We being sassy now. A childish reaction, but his expression was well worth it. With blood pounding in my ears, I found a clean place to sit before the carriage resumed its movement shortly after, entering Omnis, the city of Candlewax. The capital city of the elves. I find myself eagerly peeking out through the window, making a continuous effort to forget the fact that I may have just angered one of the most dangerous men on the Eastern continent. Sometimes you gotta do that. My eyes wander between the many tall buildings made of marble, adorned with golden embellishment, before lingering on the rectangular houses with roofs assembled from slabs of multicolored quartz. It is very pretty out there. They're illuminated by the withdrawing river of light, the path of the goddess of day. All structures bask in the warm rays, coloring in various shades of brilliant oranges and golds. It is a breathtaking view. We pass under a long archway of stone, upon which I can hear the bubbling of running water. Dozens of half-burnt candles of sundry colors and sizes sit atop each visible surface. I find myself itching to see what these streets look like at night. My thoughts quickly bring me back to the journal in my lap. Quickly, I fetch a new quill from my bag and note down my initial impressions. After several days of travel, our delegation has finally arrived at Omnius, legendary Elven capital. The gates were guarded strictly, and our official documents and identities were checked for validity. This year, the Great Empire's leading envoy for the peace celebrations is the Shadow Master. Let's see. He sports a unique brand of charm, or he's a very considerate leader. I'll say he sports a unique brand of charm. He sports a unique brand of charm that inspires the awe of everyone around him. like a hurricane or some other horrible natural disaster. We're so sassy. He has a way with words. I am blessed to be able to experience the elf's exhalation when around him. At least I'm not the only one terrified of this monster. We meander through the roads for another 20 minutes before the carriage comes to a final stop in front of the only building that looks terribly out of place. The tall rectangular pagoda that serves as the Ares Empire's embassy at Omnis. As I disembark, I spot the general already disappearing past the red curtains. He doesn't spare me a glance. Oppressive prick. Dang. First impressions are not good. I'm given a small but pleasantly furnished room in the embassy and quickly ditch my patch in there before heading out into the city. I need to find a tailor somehow. Let's see, we can ask around, we can follow a trail of the most expensive looking buildings, you tag after the most lavishly dressed elves on the main street, or you take a map of the city from the embassy to help orient me. Let's do that one. The map itself isn't as detailed as I'd like, but I could make out the names of the districts of Omnis, as well as a couple of points of interest. I decide to take a look around the enclave of the gods, the area of the Earth Elves first, since I've read so much about how lavishly they lived. It takes me about 15 minutes of walking and skulking about weird alleyways before I spot a cylindrical structure of rose marble.
Tea time!
Thank you for the tea, Scott.
You're welcome.
Two golden curtains embroidered with large designs of a spool with pink string hung from around its wide open double doors. Dark letters spell out the words, "The Hour of the Golden Ones," right above the entrance of the building. Ooh, it's a nice looking place too. The gentle strum of a mandolin came from inside, heart-wrenching, intense, soulful, and yet somehow welcoming. I step inside, yet find myself incapable of spotting a single worker. At least not until three shadows of varying sizes shift from behind a caravan of curtains. They speak in some language I do not recognize. Let's wait patiently until I'm noticed. I wait gently, watching the outlines shift behind the curtains that sway at the mercy of the wind. A customer? The medium shadow queries. Smells like it. A smallish silhouette, short and stubby, moved to face my direction, its voice high-pitched and snippy. Now is not a good time. Uh-oh. I frowned, but I wasn't about to give up that easily. I need an outfit for a party tonight at the Arisen Embassy, please. Keep my tone polite, but I knew the undertone of desperation had slipped in. Didn't want to see the general's smug expression directed at me tonight. A short silence followed, filled by only the gentle strum of the mandolin. We are very busy, and a predatory growl erupted from behind the caravan. Oh. Help her! The command rolled with the chamber with a low rumble. Yeah, I did not use a good tone for that. It's more like help her. I felt myself tense as the tallest figure turned to face me from behind the curtain. But, Natura? The growl grew louder. As you wish, Natura. The tone was reverent. obedient. Language now fully switched to common. The caravan of curtains rustled as a short elf that looked to be within the late years of his lifespan stepped out to help me. Right this way. I was quickly led behind another small caravan. I am Cupio, one of the designers of the Hour of the Golden Ones, and your extra hand to look your best today. Will you be needing help undressing? Question caught me off guard. I refuse, scandalized by the proposal. I refuse politely. So we refuse either way. I'm gonna refuse politely. Thank you for the offer, but I am accustomed to dressing myself. Cupio nods, surprisingly accepting of my choice. Very well then. I will see what we have that will fit your body while you disrobe. Drape yourself in the plush blanket on the davenport if you're feeling bare. And do not be concerned, we change them for each client that refuses to take it home with them. Before I could process his words, the elf had made his way outside of my changing area. It didn't take long before several beautiful outfits were brought to me. Cupio made it his mission to look everywhere but at my body, so he delivered them and exited. His regard for my wishes put me at ease as I tried on the outfits one by one. Do any of these suit your fancy? Let's see. See how fancy we want to be today. A racy blue and white draped dress with a beautiful belt made of pearls. A conservative black cotton toga that sticks to my curves, muscles. A leather two-piece, a blouse with matching pants, accented with gold bracers and rings. A ceremonial red and white robe of silk with a black embroidered sash. I will choose. I'll choose this one. It's like something one of the generals would wear back home when they held their conclaves. Fancy, formal, yet not overly conspicuous. The pretty embroidery of the dark sash seems to tell the myth of the sun mice. An ancient story of how the little man outsmarted the god of shadows. This outfit felt comforting and brought a smile to my lips. A great choice. The tailor appraises the way the item of clothing sits upon my frame. Is this the outfit to your liking? Sure. Yes. Lovely. Now please follow me to the lockbox. I nod and exit through the heavy curtains to join the small elf at the pay desk, not expecting the looming figure that pushed past the caravan across from mine. Hello. I find myself face to chest with a being unlike any I've ever seen before. A tall cross between man and monster, with a powerful body and a rich skin tone. And a good smile. As I look up at him, his eyebrows jump in surprise before his lips twist into a tameless smile. Seems like I made the correct choice. Excuse me? Getting you dressed. His voice was like a low purr, and I could find my cheeks heating as he made the show of admiring my outfit of choice. You're stunning. Ooh, right back at you. I thank you. God damn, yes. That is something. Bro, that band got some metal, yep. Very smooth too. A large tail swishes back and forth behind him as he tilts his head to one side. He did the cute animal tilt the head thing too. Oh no. Did you also manage to find suitable clothing? Do you make a habit of helping others out? Let's do this one. Unfortunately, I don't have the time for such noble work. Lately, the only people I happen to assist are my subordinates by doing the stacks of paperwork on my desk. They've had to change that damn thing 3 times this year already. Aw. He's got cute ears! Sorry. Sorry, I like the ears. He's got some lovely muscles, but they're like, the ears are cute. I'm a goober, I can't help it. Are you a public servant of some kind? Pretty much. His bold outfit choice had made me assume he was a famed exotic dancer or performer. Ooh. The thought made my mind travel the thought made my mind travel in a direction that was anything but innocent. I can't even read now. So I was almost glad when he changed the topic. Now, to do my job as public servant by covering your bill. Oh, you don't have to pay for my bill, sir. Giving me little chance to respond, the creature moved to stand in front of the tailor. I'm gonna say thank you, but that is unnecessary. I'm trying to be polite. I hurriedly stepped even closer to Cupio, who looked between me and the tall man, now behind me, uncertainly. Do you always fight back this hard when someone tries helping you out? Sir, we just met. You're buying me expensive outfits already. That's too nice. I know I have given him a weird look when his smile widens, drawing off a pair of sharp-top canines. Sure. An amused hum leaves his lips, and I find myself wondering what it is he gleaned from this curt line of questioning. He seems very amused by this. Oh my. This isn't a battle you need to fight. Your purchase is on me. Okay. Considered a gift from the Terra of the elves. I freeze in place as the tall creature crosses his arms in front of his chest, refusing to take no for an answer. His lion-like tail swishes back and forth as if taunting me to attempt to refuse his kindness. He likes teasing. This man was the Terra, the demigod leader of the city of Fids, and the chosen of the earth element. The Terra. And he just paid for a ridiculously overpriced item of clothing. He's generous. For me. Alright. The intensity of his gaze lessened before he nodded towards the clothing on my body. Pretty things suit pretty people. Ooh, thank you, sir. Thank you. He thinks I'm pretty, folks. He thinks I'm pretty. Consider it a party favor. You are a guest of the Dread Festival, right? Yes. I nod, and he gives me a brilliant grin. Then please make yourself at home in our city. The words "a million people would kill for this chance" echo in my mind, and I find myself smiling back at the demigod. Thank you. It is my duty, and incidentally, my pleasure. I find my cheeks heating a bit at his tone. I should be on my way. Of course. I'll be seeing you tonight, then. Hopefully he didn't notice the huge ink stain that were on my other clothes. I pick up my old clothes and my pack before bidding Hupio and the Terra the most dignified goodbye I can muster. We are looking sharp. We got flirted with. Nice. No, what did the way back to the embassy look like? I started retracing my steps, but quickly find myself unable to deny the itch to put words on paper over my recent encounter. Compared to the capital of the Ares Empire, the elven city of Omnis is... I am going to put beautiful but chaotic. The architecture I see as I walk in the streets is awe-inspiring, but the structure of the city itself is incomprehensible. I wonder what the spatial architects were thinking when they planned this place. The urban design is amateurish when compared to the organized construction of our capital. Ah, that's a bit mean. I like it. My thoughts then wander to Terra of the Elves, to his warm smiles and his overly accommodating sentiments. Nobody had ever covered a bill for me before purely out of kindness. I can't help but wonder what the price I'd have paid for it in return would be. I frown and structure my thoughts on the demigod of Earth. My first impression of the Terra of the Elves is that he seems to live in his own world, or he has a terrible savior complex. Both are kind of harsh. I'm gonna put he seems to live in his own world. I never once spotted any of our 9 generals out shopping for clothes mere hours before an event as important as the Dread Festival. Then again, if the Terra is as rich as the legends say he is, I should be surprised that he throws money around at pompous stores with ridiculously inflated price tags. Dude has got the cheddar. I feel my chest grow heavy with guilt over the words I put down. We've been taught to always show the strengths of our empire, throwing mud at the reputations of others in order to do so. However, has never been my favorite thing to do. So I'm required to be kind of snippy. Am I part of the propaganda machine? I exhale and look upon my page and quill, needing a distraction from my treacherous thoughts. It comes quickly as I do not recognize the street I'm walking on. Multitasking is not as always as easy as it seems. The marble and courts are lost, instead replaced by simple one-floor stone buildings and decorated with all kinds of dried plants, bones, and black velvet curtains. These streets seem deserted. The air feels oppressive. Unlike the other parts of town, soft lavender and green candles lay lit around the street, as though there is a heavy darkness here that dims all other colors and needs to be wandered off. Silence stretches over me in a way that has me glancing back at my shadow. I don't know why, but this place reminds me of some of the worst moments in my life. Ooh, I do not like the whispering. Let's see, the passing of my late parents, a terrible breakup with an abusive ex, a near-death experience I suffered through, or the loss of a friend in the yearly wars. I'll put the near-death experience. An unforeseen medical condition that I had a chance to not survive. Fortunately, I recovered, but I get a shiver every time I recall it, how close it brought me to the brink. I recall the darkness as I passed out, the concerned faces around me. How weak and pathetic I felt during my recovery process. I take a deep breath and focus on the teachings of the Ares Empire, the way to fight back the demons that attempt to conquer you. I need to keep myself occupied and focused on the things at hand. I need to take everything step by step. Alright, so you can turn back and try to trace your steps or look for someone to guide you. Let's turn back and try to trace our steps. I turn back around, attempting to recall the turns I made and features of buildings I may have noticed. Nothing sticks out. There's no landmark that feet lead me to, or that my eyes recognize. Haven't I already been on the street? I feel as though I'm being watched. I find myself constantly glancing around the vacant windows and empty street corners. A cold chill climbs up my back as I reach a few doors without windows or candles. Was this elven magic, or all just in my head? Was someone playing tricks on me? When I stop to readjust my pack, I feel something wet hit my forehead. Uh-oh. The darkening skies up above surprise me. I have barely a moment to blink before I am caught in the downpour. The rain is so heavy and cold that if I don't hide somewhere quick, I'm sure I'll be sick during tonight's banquet. Aww. Shit. At this rate, my notes will be ruined. I break into a run, looking for shelter from the downpour. The only place I manage to find on such short notice is underneath a small staircase. I'm forced to squeeze in underneath, pulling my feet to my chest. I hate the rain. I like the rain. Don't care for the weather. Oh no, rain is fine as long as it's not thundering. I'll put I like the rain. I've always found it calming. The pitter-patter of raindrops against any surface could easily put me to sleep. Scott laughing at me. Yeah, I just don't like thunder. I can deal with some rain. As long as I don't get too cold. Scott knows I'm a big chicken when it storms. With a downpour like this, it seems as if the sky itself was crying. For the first time in my life, I found the sky's unruliness almost unfair. Steam suddenly becomes chicken. Yes, yes. I hide under all the blankets when it's thundering and windy. It's not fun. By force of habit, I find myself closing my eyes and listening to the sound of raindrops as they hit the cement. My new outfit is being ruined. No. I breathe in the petrichor and allow its familiar smell to calm me. Despite my feelings, I find my earlier unease evaporating, melting away within the minutes. Woof! There's a puppers? Can we pet the puppers? I want to pet puppers. I open my eyes to the sound of a bark and find a small puppy tilting its head at me. Yes! When I blink again, however, I find that I must have imagined it. That's not a pupper. That's not a pupper. What stands before me is a tall man dressed from head to toe in black. It's a very nice view. It's not a puppy though. His 4 eyes are a startling green. Greener than the purest jadeite. It's Sephiroth! No, it's not. With Sephiroth and glasses. He doesn't have glasses, he actually has 4 eyes, Scott. Oh my goodness, Scott. Somehow he sticks out from within the gloom of the surrounding environment. Perhaps because of the lit white candle that gleams in the lantern he holds up towards me. He surveys me silently, unbothered by the rain falling from the sky. I love the trim piece. His outfit is very nice. The little trim piece right here. It's a nice little green to it. Dig it. His gaze lingers a beat too long on my ears. You like ears? I got ears. sound like an exasperated scoff escapes him, for his moves escape to one side. It takes a moment to realize that he is offering to share. You're going to share your cape? He's got some pointy teeth-looking thing on him. Come on. I am not sure how I managed to hear a voice so gentle above the downpour. Let's get you out of this rain. Okay. I should refuse. Something about strangers in danger. However, this man and his calm, gentle presence reassured me of my safety in a way no one else ever had. Perhaps it was magic. And did it truly matter if he was bespelled? If I managed to get into the banquet in time? Now I'm worried about the party. With a nod, I move quickly from beneath the cold staircase to under the unfamiliar man's cape. We're making so many friends today. I am pleased to find that it is much warmer and larger than it looks. Ew. He looks like a sad boy. He needs cheering up. I assume you're an ambassador of the Ares Empire. Yes. Once again, I am surprised I can hear him. Something of the sort. His gaze lingers on me for a moment too long. Though he says nothing, he reaches his lantern forward, and I gather that we should move forward. The streets are acclimating water at such a pace that the sewage system does not seem to be capable of handling. Oh no! It's downtown Charleston, Sky! No, I'm joking. At first, I do my best to avoid the gathering puddles and streams of water carrying away dust and grime. Though the task is difficult, and my feet should be soaked with the shoes and socks, I am surprised to find that I don't walk into the puddles. I walk over them. Ooh. As though an invisible barrier has been created between myself and the cold water acclimating in the streets. When I glance back at the man leading me, I notice the way the rain bounces away from him. He has magicked me. Let's see. Let's ask him how he's keeping it. You both dry. Yes. How's he keeping us dry? The cloak's enchanted. Enchanted cloak. It looks nice on him. Oh. I never experienced the effect of a magic item before. And I can't help but be a little awestruck at the revelation that I was almost wearing one. They were pretty rare back in the Ares Empire. He tilts his head towards the sky as if attempting to gauge if it will cease raining. Then sighs. I apologize. Once again, it takes me a moment to catch his voice. I find how easy it is to miss alarming. Are you apologizing for the rain? Do you usually apologize to all victims you save from a downpour? I'll say the second one. He raises an eyebrow at my pathetic attempt at a joke. Is my joke bad? Only when they're unnatural, caused by the emotional experience of one of ours. Oh? The puzzle pieces clicked into place. Mors' current Aqua, the aspect of water, had come into power 3 years ago, yet he was powerful enough to cause such a deluge? Do all Elven aspects have the ability to affect the weather? I can feel his gaze resting on me for a brief period. He can look at me all he wants. No. Oh. At least, not without the help of spell candles. I raise an eyebrow at the man as he guides us into a turn that leads us out of the basic rocky building district. What are spell candles? A few seconds pass by without an answer, and I wonder if the cloak almost seems to grow heavier around me. A way to preserve pure elemental magic. And the magic is released when the candle is burned? Correct. Is that why candles are strewn about this entire city? Sounds simple enough. I'm gonna ask if that's why they're around the city. Spot the smallest of twitches at the corner of his mouth. Oh, he's got a little grin. Aren't you quite the astute student? Ooh. I find myself smiling back at him. Our kind light them whenever they require magic they do not naturally possess. The red candles to light the fires at home and warm a room. The blue candles to summon and control water. The effect to which anyone can use these candles depends on their magical ability, of course. But I think you get the gist of it. The gist of it. The curve of his lips softened his features for a split second. I find myself staring longer than is appropriate. Ooh. Let's see, can I also use magic then? Or how do the aspects impose control upon candles upon them? How about that? The man beside me raises an eyebrow as the rain continues to avoid hitting his lift features. The more I stare at him, the more I find myself at peace. Aww. His calm voice reaches me once more, and I find myself probably just as surprised at his response as he is at my question. Spell candles are a commodity we aim to make available for every household. If we applied any serious control to them, then that would be like rationing the air your people breathe. Ah. Not sure I understand the comparison. Here we are. We're back. The male stopped suddenly and turned toward me, his tall frame towering over me as he lifted his lantern towards the entrance to the Assyrian embassy. Loud percussion, the whistle of a flute, and a mandolin rang through the air, showing off that the festivities had begun. Nice. And I was late. I'm embarrassed to admit that I was so focused on the intriguing man before me to notice we'd arrived. Thank you. No, thank you is necessary, be assured. He motioned for me to go ahead with his free hand, so I just nodded, turned on my heel, and walked into the embassy in a hurry. Woohoo, we gonna dance. The music was much louder inside, accompanied by the smells of various sizzling meats and the bright light of hanging chandeliers. Nice. Water, earth, and death elves moved around in wild circular dances, dressed in such finery that I find myself thankful that the Terra had interfered on my behalf at the store earlier. Nice. There he is. Though I spot him in the room, I find that he's engaged in conversation with some senators from our empire, full goblet in hand. A few paces away from him, my eyes meet the infamous crimson hues of the general, who seems to have stopped whatever he was doing to size up my outfit. Irritation bubbles up in my throat as I find myself quickly pivoting towards a drinks table. A large wine fountain, adorned with lit silver candles, quickly catches my eye, and a polite elf pours me a goblet upon noticing my approach. Aw yeah, wine time, let's go. I take the cup with a smile and am momentarily distracted from drinking. Uh-oh. I'm gonna take a sip of my tea either way. Boop, 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 boop. I hear a series of loud gasps echoed from somewhere before a slick, tangible voice cuts through the music like a hot knife through butter. I told the pirate lord that if he's not willing to go to war for my love, he doesn't deserve me. And then I sank his ship to the bottom of the bay. A series of excited whispers and mummers follow the ridiculous explanation, carrying the electric atmosphere that supports all forms of gossip mongering. Momentarily distracted, I can't help but search for whoever is the source of this ambience. Frankly, even my sister and brother were on the marriage market. I doubt they'd be able to impress. Then again, feel free to bring it up with my stepmother, dearest. I'm sure she'll be thrilled to finally get a morsel of attention. My feet move automatically as if charmed by the scandal carried with every sentence of whoever is speaking. I find I'm led into a section of the embassy floor, transformed into a lounge by large chaises and silk curtains and burning incense. Many gorgeous elves are propped on top of comfortable pillows, lazing around in eye-catching outfits. Yet when my eye lands on the male sprawled in the dead center of this crowd, I find myself suddenly flustered. Hello. Everything about this man makes me want to double and triple takes. The long hair, glistening in the candlelight as if wet. The bright pink makeup and the outfit that I'm sure would look unseemly on anyone else in such a formal environment. Whoever he is, he commands the space behind the curtains as though he owns it. And he might as well, considering the way the hungry gazes of his entourage follow each breath he takes. No, sweetheart. No matter how much money your father offers her family as a dowry, trust me, she won't marry you. He sounds so utterly bored with this subject that I almost believe that he isn't reveling in the attention he's receiving. His large smile says otherwise. Everyone knows that marrying for love is far superior from marrying for money. His gaze landed on me, and his smile widened. Oh. We have definitely caught everyone's attention today. Wouldn't you agree? The pull of attention was dropped upon me so suddenly that I find myself desperate to get rid of it. Let's see, marriage for money is better. Marriage for love is better. I don't believe in marriage. I'd rather not give opinions on other people's relationships. Or can't people have both? I'm gonna say marriage for love is better. See, my darling, there's no market value one can name when it comes to the hand of another in eternal matrimony. That is, if love truly grips them both. That is true. A breathy chuckle escapes the beautiful man before me. His gaze still on me with such intensity that I actively have to remind myself not to fidget. It's like, don't be awkward, don't be awkward. Did his eyes just gleam? It seems this foreigner is already more intelligent in matters of the heart than you are, Leopold. I found myself wince as a fierce glare is directed my way by the Leopold in question. Perhaps they're also interested in matters of the flesh as well. Oh my. If I was walking when I heard that comment directed my way, I would have tripped. How entirely inappropriate. Getting so fresh with me. His heterochromic eyes slid over my form. Everyone keeps judging me by my looks today. The retort I'd planned never leaves my mouth. You're just my type. Okay. Excuse me? His bold proclamation wipes the remark clean from my memory, and I can only stare at him, completely dumbfounded. My cheeks flush as he spreads 2 fingers in front of his lips. Feel free to stop by my room later. Oh my goodness. I highly doubt that would be a Aqua of the elves. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, what just happened? My embarrassment is quickly swept under the rug, the attention of the room instead drawn to the general who'd moved in front of me. His demeanor remains as cold as always. Aqua, the Shadow Master. Beautiful man before me moves to stand in front of us. I had an inkling that the male before me had to be influential, but had I been propositioned by the aspect of water? My brain blanched as I pondered how to put that down in my journal. I've heard a lot about you. The Aqua did a quick circle around the general, eyeing him with unabashed curiosity. The man without a heart, was it? Care to dispel that rumor? Ignoring the bold flirtation at the demigod before him, the general's crimson eyes glanced in my direction briefly. I ask you to refrain from distracting our balefire-mandated political journalist from doing her job. I'm here on business. I find myself stiffening upon hearing the mention of the Ares Empire's grand capital. Oh my. Aqua's attention slid over me again, lingering on the authorized notebook I was given to put my notes down. I make no promises. So sassy. You. It's a festival, General. Relax. He waved an amphibious hand dismissively. In fact, he raised his voice in a way that carried his words around the room. I propose a toast. Another goblet of wine is pushed into my hand by a servant so quickly that I suspect the Aqua of the elves has a habit of making toast. Though the room is buzzing with excitement, it is quite enough to hear a pin drop. Beside me, I noticed the general giving Aqua a withering glare. To the Ares Empire, who have stood behind us thousands of winters. He raised his silver goblet into the air. May our festival once again nourish the millennia-old alliance between our two nations, so that we may stand together against the coming horrors in new and 8th months. Uh-oh, the horrors. Prost. I blink as the word is echoed around the room, and everyone erupts in cheers before drinking from their cups. Let's see. I'll go ahead and drink. That's fine. Take a sip of the wine, and I am thrown off by the dry, slightly salty taste it carries. I glance around the room to see if anyone shared my reaction, but it seems I'm alone in my confusion. The festivities around me resumed in full force. Uh-oh. Is this a contest? We will see. We will see. The festivities around me resumed in full force, with the swell of a flute leading most elves that are gathered around Aqua to an unfamiliar folk dance. They bounce around the room in couples, laughing and dragging the occasional senator into their steps. Or are you about to get a really good time? I don't know. I might be having a good time or getting drugged. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I'm having fun meeting lots of attractive men that want to talk to me, evidently. It's wild and lively. Antithetical to the structured festivals we hold back at Balefire. It's an acquired taste. The wine, I mean. Surf grape, they call it in Amor. A familiar voice comes from behind as I turn around face to face with the giant frame of the elves' Terra. So it mirrors real life in a sense. Oh, really? The attractive men want to talk to me and give me wine? This hasn't happened in a long time. Although I don't usually trust random men I just met giving me drinks. Or do you mean the fact that a tall dude came from behind me to talk to me? That happens at home all the time. Long time no see, princess. It's good to see you as well, Terra. Planning to take Aqua up on his offer? It takes me a second to clue in what he's asking. It seems word travels faster than the wine at the Elven capital. I will be doing my job. Thought so. Part of me wanted to ask him what he meant, considering that smile, but I find my attention occupied by Aqua. Aqua's like, this is my butt. He led a complex folk dance with an easy confidence, his long hair swaying behind him, a mesmerizing heap of the revelry. He's so mad. He's so mad. Shadowmaster's like, no, not having a good time, don't make me. Our stoic general followed through the motions beside him, as though he'd done this many times before. He looks like he'd have more fun cleaning bird shit. He does. He does. I stifle a laugh behind a hand and glance up at the shrugging demigod. Am I wrong, though? I will agree with him. He's pretty funny. Can't help the smile that cracks my well-structured mask of professionalism. I don't have to do anything more to earn myself a pleased expression from the Elven demigod. His gaze shifts behind me and I follow it to a lone figure leaning against the wall beside the embassy's entrance. No. My guide from earlier, with his hood down, I'm startled to see a pair of long lupin ears shifting on top of his head. He's got ears too! Were you the puppy? Were you the puppy that barked at me? Aww. Mors Mortis, the aspect of death, the last demigod of the waking elves. He's watching the dance unfold around the embassy floor and seems to be restraining himself from joining it. Go dance, be merry. Terra nudges me with his elbow. You could invite him to dance, you know. I'm startled by the suggestion. I can't tell if Terra wants to flirt with me or wants to be a wingman. I'm not sure. You know the steps, don't you? I nod slowly. I wouldn't be allowed on this job if I didn't. Well, what are you waiting for? I blink at Terra's words, suddenly feeling encouraged to try something new. This could be a great feature to put in a journalistic piece after I get home. Ooh, who do I choose? Ooh, ooh. Who shall I dance with? I am leaning more towards Terra and more. Aqua's okay. Like they're all pretty, but I feel like I enjoy talking to these two more. Aqua's very forward. General is very sundry. Do I want the lion or the goth boy? Decisions. Oh goodness. See, that's why Mors is like, I'm gonna show you my puppy dog ears. I'll try to pull you in. I guess we'll go for the goth boy. The death. I shift back to the demigod of death, who stands near the front entrance of the embassy's hall, cup of wine in hand. He strays from the rest, enjoying his bubble of serene solitude as he instead observes the descending chaos, content to be exempt from it. But then I'm like, hello. Emboldened by the Terra's words, I politely excuse myself for my time with the leader of the Elven faith, and move to join Mors Mortis in his reclusive corner. His gaze shifts to me briefly, noting my approach before returning to the wild dances happening around us. shouting, hopping, twirling, jumping, kissing, touching, drinking. The Aqua has grabbed our general, leading him through the complicated steps of a local dance that he's keeping up with perfectly. The visible vexation on his face, however, makes me consider the existence of karma. I like that Aqua's like, we're gonna dance. You better like this. Can't help but smile as I reach the demigod of death and lean on the wall beside him. You're not joining them? His eyes flit to me, and then back to the craze up ahead. Dancing is not something I've ever had much of a talent for. And yet, you enjoy watching it? It is a verification of being alive, beautiful in its simplicity, and simultaneously its complexity. I tilt my head and turn my attention fully to the scene before me as it unfolds. The Mors Mortis of the elves was the oldest of the elven aspects, a frightening monster with sharp teeth and claws capable of plucking a person's soul right from their chest. He was perhaps the most feared ally we had. A folk tale the parents told their kids when they didn't want to go to bed. The sleepless woven demigod who ate the naughty children when they wandered into the dark forest at night. These men and women, politicians, are like the stars. They burn beautifully when they're far away. Interesting to observe, but not to encounter. This plain observation surprises me, though I lack the courage to verbally or visibly agree with him. In a room where doing so would be treason, I feel that my silence tells him enough. I'm like, I can't say anything. The beat of the music continues, and the cello swells with emotion as I watch the Terra join into the dance, leading a long, winding column of his own with a smile on his face. He is like the sun, a stark contrast to the school displeasure of our general and the mischievous expression of the Aqua. What about you? Why aren't you joining them? How about... I wanted to thank you for earlier. Thank me? For saving me from the rain when I got lost. It was kind of you. It was. Anyone else would have done the same. I can list the name of quite a few people who wouldn't, several of them drinking merrily in this room, but I resist. Instead, I simply shake my head. One person's kindness can be a second chance for life for another. Doing the right thing shouldn't be as complex as it is made to be. That is true. You would have caught a cold if I let you remain in the freezing rain. The decision was simple. You're so kind. Thank you nonetheless. He paused before giving me a small but stiff nod. Okay, everyone's here now. Sudden surge of the beat turned my eyes to the center of the embassy's main hall, where the aspects of earth and water had clashed, both vying for the center of the dance floor. Uh-oh. We have a dance battle. The general, whose fingers were still entwined with Aqua's, regarded the aspect of water as though he was seconds from killing him. The general's so mad. The stomping of feet, clinking of cups, roaming of hands, the smell of expensive perfumes met with that of sizzling meats cooked traditionally as kebab. They got kebabs, Scott. At the same time, it reminded me of home, while also letting me experience something entirely different. It made me want to close my eyes, lean into the beat like everyone else. As the chaos of the festivities raged around me, and I turned to once again face Mors Mortis. A question on my lips, I watched as his eyes widened and he pulled me to his side without warning. As a stray glass of wine smashed into the wall where I had just stood. Uh-oh. He saved me. Its owner, an earthen elf with a sandy skin tone, laughed drunkardly, perhaps after doing a few twirls too many in the current dance. Her eyes, the color of bright amethyst, turned to mine. and what I assumed was going to be an apology turned into wide eyes, quivering lips, and a deep bow. She said something in Elvish, and then turned on her heels and ran out of the embassy's open doors into the night, leaving me dumbfounded. At least she was considerate enough not to disturb the rest of the guests by screaming. She said she apologizes for the glass. Interesting. Turned to Mors Mortis, whose nonchalant tone was betrayed by the scowl on his lips. I thank you? It is of no consequence. He looks worried. A series of merry cheers are up from the center of the hall, the long song having come to the end, but I find myself uninterested in the winner of its superstitious competition. The man before me holds my gaze instead. Ew. I'm fascinated by what someone so seemingly gentle had done in seconds to summon forth such primal fear from its subject. But if Mors Mortis senses the millions of questions on my tongue, he ignores them, instead reaching towards me and tugging something out of my hair. Oh, he's got a sad little kind grin there. His dark fingers pull away. I catch a 6-eye tattooed on the back of his hand. A bit of glass got onto you. He shows me a small shard between his fingers. Oh, that's dangerous. Something that would have happened. Something that wouldn't have happened had our balefire manitated journalists been doing their job recording the happenings rather than partaking in them. Excuse you, Latimor. You jealous much? Journal cuts into the conversation with a glare in my direction that gives me goosebumps. I believe you and I have different definitions of the term partaking, General. Unlike me, Mors Mortis seems completely unaffected by the Shadow Master's presence. Your journalist was in fact doing their job very well. It is the fault of our people that she almost got injured. General scoffed, his gaze shifting to me again, his eyes tracking what I could only assume were the glass shards in my hair. Any journalist serious about their job would already be resting. Wow. The aspect of Death's gaze shifts to me as if to gauge something, where he places a hand on his toned chest. His head dipped into a curt bow, a soft smile on his lips. Then may your rest be tranquil, and your spirit feel serene under Nosh's watchful gaze, Dean. Well, thank you, Bor. Thank you, Noctura. As he rises, and I offer both men a small, bright smile. If you'll excuse me. General is much shorter than him. General gives me a curt, dismissive nod. Mors Mortis, on the other hand, seems to be looking past me. I take it as permission to leave. It is halfway out the room before I realize I've never actually had the chance to tell the aspect of death my name. But he knew my name. I quickly reached my room. The inside is small, but luxurious, furnished, showing off what I had already knew. The Ares Empire spared no expense for its diplomats. It is very nice looking. I dig it. Find myself glaring at the unnecessarily mahogany desk, the silk robe hanging from my dresses, the comfortable bed warmed by the red candle lit beside it, the redundant opulence of the en-suite bathroom, and the heated floors and the scented soaps. I sigh as I sink into my bed, journal in hand. Pushing my annoyance aside, my thoughts drift, taking me through the day. So far, I find ominous to be mysterious, grandiose, charming, intimidating. It is a little bit of all of these, for real. I'm going to say charming. The interconnectedness of all Elven races and ominous is reminiscent of our balefire. There's an inherent kindness that perhaps stems from the excitement over the festivities. It is chaotic, wild, and in some way similar to our holidays back home. Or the memories of hundreds of lost ones spurs on a camaraderie between the waking elves and the Assyrians. I'll take a moment to ponder how I feel after the long day I've had, and find that my latest hours stick out as a journey of emotions. Agreeing to come here had been a risk, but maybe, just maybe, the trouble would be worth it. Next, I find myself focusing on the welcome festivities I'd just been a part of. They were highly political, they were ridiculously chaotic, they were terribly exciting, they were quite a special experience. I am going to say they were quite a special experience. The winters our Eastern continent experiences are mere myths to the rest of the known world. They are harsh, filled with horrors of mind and body. We lose too many good people to these wars every year. And yet, within the Assyrian embassy of Omnis, the evening before the Dread Festival, we are welcomed with open arms by our Elven comrades in arms. We find hope in breaking bread and sharing wine. We smile, laugh, and choose to live on, persist despite the abominations in our recent memories. It was a heartwarming sight of an alliance forged over millennia of joint suffering. I find myself smiling when I think of... I will say Mors. The common wise Mors Mortis is the oldest waking Elven aspect. As the demigod of death and the ruler of Spiz, City of Hope, he is a walking oxymoron, often removed and feared within his own kind's capital city. He is the monster our parents told us about when we were young. The big bad wolf that ate the naughty kids. He who never sleeps and can pluck souls from bodies with a simple touch. There is, however, a certain unexpected peace one can find when being near what they fear most. You can find out the boogeyman is just a man. Perhaps the weeks of travel were finally getting to me. I put away my journal and tried to get some rest. To survive in the Ares Empire, you need to love it. Or you need to be very good at pretending to do so. The delegation was already ready to depart the Central Plaza at 7:30 a.m. sharp. Systemized like apothecary bottles, not a single soul dared to be late under the general scrutiny. We have to do what we need to do. As if yesterday's chaotic revelry was a dream we'd all conjured in our sleep. But the outfit on my body was proof enough, considering I had nothing else decent to wear. The Elven diplomats meant to escort us to the location of the Dread Festival's opening ceremony arrived at exactly 7:35. The Shadow Master greeted them. After finishing the steaming contents of his cup, bid they lead the way. Soon found myself uncertain as to why all of this posturing was necessary. The Central Plaza of Omnis is exactly a 3-minute walk away from the embassy. Though we are early to the ceremony, the open space is packed with elves of various elemental inclinations and ages. Seven large stone coffins held together with heavy locks and star mail chains lay arranged in a neat line in the heart of the square. A giant cauldron of bubbly wax levitates peacefully above each one, and I quickly spot the 7 lit silver candles held together by Mors Mortis. Though Terra and Aqua are nowhere to be found, the aspect of death seems to personally be attending the festival's preparation. He appears calm as he runs his fingers over the flames of the braziers, heating the cauldrons, earning excited whispers from gathered elves and senators. I find myself wondering if it hurts, or if he's touched fire so many times he's grown numb to it. For a second, his eyes meet mine across the field as our delegation steps forward to our designated area. Let's smile at him. Surprise skips over his features like a pebble before sinking underneath the perfectly constructed political smile he'd offered our delegation. Or so I expected. Instead, his expressions remain the same as he offers us a cool, calculated bow. Welcome, esteemed general and delegates of the Ares Empire, to this year's Dread Festival opening. Thank you, Aspect of Death, for hosting us again this year. The Shadowmaster returns the sentiment with a curt bow of his own. What a lukewarm exchange. It's political time. We gotta be serious business. I am not certain exactly what has happened between these two, but I do not have any time to dwell on it, for Aqua and Terra's arrival breaks the tension and turns it into chaos. They definitely are the more warmer of them. As if wherever these two appear, the location turns into a stage set for a spectacle. A stark contrast to the elves' indifference towards Mors Mortis and quiet curiosity about the general. I find my gaze lingering on... I'm going back with Morris. The Aspect of Death soon stood motionless beside our delegation as he waited for his compatriots to join us. They're all quite lovely. They're all quite lovely, though. His side profile reminded me of a statue, his lithe form carved from decades of decisions. Only his eyes gave away any signs of life. His gaze shifted through the crowd, landing on his fellow aspects before he blinked, an action so natural that looked foreign on him, as though he did it for the benefit of the living around him. Esteemed guests of the Empire, allow us to once again welcome you to our lands as we commemorate the end of another winter. Terra moved to stand beside the now quiet Mors Mortis. There is no greater honor for us and our people to call you and yours by the term allies. For every time we've called, you have answered, and whenever you've been in need, we delivered. It is through good that we starve off evil. Through your gods and ours. Listening to the eloquence of the Aspect of Earth, I am quickly reminded that as the leader of the Elven City of Faith, Terra also holds the title of head of all Elfic religions. Interesting. Aqua speaks next, a hand on his heart. Our bond has lasted for millennia, a marriage amongst darkness. This commitment, immortalized when we sealed away the 7 scions, will continue to hold again today. On this first dawn of the Dread Festival, we vow to once again keep them at bay. His voice pulls me toward him, like a sailor to a siren, but it is Mors Mortis' tone that brings me back. That makes me stop and listen. From flesh to wax, from wax to life. Every year, the eternal war takes us from those we hold dear. And with what is left of them, we seal away chaos, anger, harm, loneliness, sorrow, hunger, and plague, and take a breath until next winter. For it is through faith that we hold the lines, through love that we stand united, and through hope that we keep fighting. Let those we love shield us once more from the dangers we've forgotten. Breathe in and take your time to pray. Terra's command echoes through the air, rendering the thousands of elves gathered on their knees. As per the ritual, Our delegation is the first to walk up into the braziers. A bubbling wax and silently thank those who gave their lives for ours. The general goes first, murmuring thank yous in both of our languages, both our language and that of the elves. Though I can't see his face, I find his tone to be gentler than any I've heard from him before. Aw, he's being vulnerable. I go last from our delegation. I think about those we've lost over the years to this war. I murmur thank yous in both languages. Yeah, let's do that. So I reached the first cauldron. I thank the people and the elves who gave up their lives for peace in both languages. Then I move to the next cauldron and do the same, and the next, and the next, and the next. It is considered a great honor to be able to come this close to the dead again. Once our delegation has finished paying our respects, the elven aspects follow. The three move in perfect tandem, and by the time Mors Mortis has finished, the rest of the elven population in Omnis is already in silent tears. Poor Mors Mortis orders after a moment of silence. Elven cauldrons obey Mors Mortis' command, slowly moving to tip over. Wax begins hitting the coffins one by one, resealing them under the watchful eyes of the elven aspects, their people, and our delegation. Get down! Uh-oh. The words shatter through the silence. I barely have time to process the familiar voice before the ground underneath my feet gives. For a second, I think I am blind. The world has turned pitch black. Uh-oh, something going on. I think I smell something burning. Then daylight breaks through, bringing back my sense of sight. My knees are bleeding. I blink as I try to get my bearings, but as the sound has ceased to function. I make out some of the senators lay beside me, cowering. I guess I'll stay low for now. Drill is kneeling beside me, a knife in his hand. His eyes wander around our delegation, coolly checking for everyone's presence and safety. At least until a shout cuts apart my uncertainty with a new horrifying discovery. The goddess of chaos has escaped. Uh-oh. My eyes shoot in the direction of the pale marble coffin, the last one to be sealed, now empty. Uh-oh. I hear murmurs and whispers from the gathered elven crowds. The words are undecipherable until the general's crimson gaze sweeps towards the onlookers with what can only be described as a wild fury. They've finally decided to conquer us too. Betrayers! Scoundrels! Uh-oh. My blood chills as I realize that the only possible culprits could be those close enough to the cauldrons. The realization seems to dawn upon the aspects at the same time because all three of them turn to face us. Oh no! Oh no, are we suspects now? The word "seize them" suddenly sound like a phrase from a banned horror novel. Oh no. The elven crowds are dispersed and told to return to their homes under curfew. Meanwhile, we are roughly pulled into a standing position in front of the aspects. While Terra and Aqua's expressions are unreadable, Mors looks dangerously calm. General, give us one reason why we mustn't lynch your delegation and send you back to the Emperor to announce the dissolution of our alliance. Oh no, oh no. We're in trouble. You have no proof. I find this man's ability to remain an egotistical bastard, even when standing before three demigods, almost attractive. Almost. Did nobody else stand close enough to the braziers in order to tamper with them? The journal falls silent, and I realize exactly what he's saying. I see Mors Mortis' expression turn murderous as he reaches the same conclusion. My thoughts suddenly dim as a primal existential fear of death sinks its claws into my back. Oh no. How dare. Let's hold an investigation then. Aqua's smile is nonchalant, but something in his tone gives me pause. Mors Mortis' eyes narrow on the demigod of water. Everyone present is a suspect. Don't know why the three unitary demigods suddenly look so divided. Terra, much to my surprise, is frowning, his tail flickering around, his arms crossed in front of his chest. Very well. Mors Mortis' four jade eyes wander between the members of our delegation and the surrounding guards before landing on the general. Name your investigator, Shadowmaster. You only get one, and only one. Steen. Oh no! We have to take charge. They've all flirted with me, and now they're gonna make me have to investigate. What? I jumped to my feet as all eyes turned to me. I guess I'll do it. I catch a glimmer in Terra's gaze as none of the aspects argue the general's choice. Aqua's smile widens and find myself looking away, needing to escape all of this attention. The festival lasts 7 days. That is how long you've got to get your truth. Oh my gosh. Only 7 days. The unspoken "if you fail" remains a silent implication that hangs over my head like a guillotine for the next week. Day 1. I return to my room and find that my fingers are gripping my journal so hard they're shaking. It has been an intense time. Going from hey and Hotties to a big explosion and having to investigate. I have to get it together desperately. I can sense how overwhelmed I am with fear. Had it been winter, I likely would have returned to some mindless ghoul and fallen prey to the sword of a soldier. I take in a deep breath, then exhale. I repeat these simple motions several times until my brain has had enough oxygen to function again, as it should. Who do I investigate? Let's investigate Aqua? I wasn't sure if it was because Mors Mortis had called everyone present a suspect, but I find myself diligently studying Aqua as he sat on a chair in front of my work desk. A very ornate chair that hadn't been there until right before I asked for the aspect of water to stop by for questioning. It was carved of some expressive wood, packed with comfortable cushions, and sparkled with pearls of various colors and sizes. A perfect seat for the man who lounged on top of it, as if he was king of the world. Legs crossed, chin propped up on one hand, he offered me a lazy smile that made something in my chest twist. He was perhaps the most beautiful man I had ever seen. It was annoying to no end. Should I summon a painter? You seem so fond of staring. My cheeks flushed and I cleared my throat. I'm supposed to focus on interviewing. I gotta investigate. Glancing down at my journal, I found it logical that I started off by asking him the following questions. Alright. Investigative time. Did you notice anything unusual happening in the hours before the incident? Not really. I was too busy sleeping off a hangover. I can believe that from the night before. After a long night of enjoying the revelry, I helped your embassy through. His voice dipped into a softer, more melodic tone. It truly was a shame that you couldn't stay. Dang. How long into the night did the revelry continue? I don't know. I didn't stay for the whole thing. And why not? I found a better use of my time. His tone dipped into something softer and his eyes attained that pure raw heat that could only mean one thing. I nodded, my cheeks no doubt as bright as his eyeshadow. Why were you late on the morning of the incident? Aqua scoffed at my question. I am late, only if you go by the words of Mors Mortis. If anyone else had to organize the Dread Festival this year, they wouldn't have said a word. Others can organize the festival? Of course, it is a rotating duty between all aspects. It just so happened that this year's pleasure fell on Mors Mortis' shoulders. Okay. He didn't answer my question. That's where looked at. The aspect of order looked up at me through thick lashes. At the gathering, I found rather pleasant company that detained me until morning. I mean, fair. Why was I late? What are you, a cop? In this instance, I kinda am. I'm an investigator. Aqua's like, are you a narc? Aqua's like, I can't help it. I am very popular. And, had some festivities of my own. Well, shit, yes. Yes. Oh. Can that company corroborate your story? Of course. For one reason or another, I respect his choice to keep that card close to his chest. I'll ask for it later if necessary. Oh my goodness. This game is actually great though, and you're getting a kick out of your giggles. You know I giggle about everything, but yes, this game is great so far. I'm very interested in seeing what the full game will bring. Stop it. No, you stop it. You stop it. Who do you think is responsible for the incident? Aqua raises an eyebrow at my question. If I was thrown in the deep end, I wouldn't go about attracting the attention of the sharks. Ooh. Are you threatening me? He laughed as though I'd asked something terribly amusing. His different colored eyes glittered like sea glass. You Erisians are always looking for a reason for an argument or fight. Do you know a lot of Erisians? A few. And that's enough to draw up such conclusion? Perhaps. I do my best not to roll my eyes. Alright. Let's see. How about... Could you tell me a bit more about the missing goddess? Aqua's fingers ceased that incessant playing about with his hair. Varvare, the goddess of chaos, the fourth child of the Arbor Pestis. According to written materials from the time, she was a menace on the battlefield, uncontrollable, and like all other gods, unkillable. Whoever's responsible for this could have freed any of the gods, perhaps even all of them, but they chose to free Varvare. Why? Aqua shrugged. The children of evil have been sealed for over 2 millennia by our predecessors and your gods. The best you can get on any of them are secondary records from the Grand Library and the Academy. I blink and find myself jotting down both locations in my journal as places I need to visit. That was all very helpful, thank you. Did you find the... I appreciate the attempt at lengthening our time together, investigator. I am a busy man. Find myself gaping at him. I wasn't. The grin he gives me as he makes to get up is downright infuriating. I should have free time slot for you after 5 hours if you wish to continue your disquisition. You can't just... But he can. He proves that point by making his way out of the door to my small room before I can finish my sentence. And I have the infuriating need to throw my journal at the door. Who do I investigate? Oh, we get to investigate everyone? Nice. Interrogation time. I tap my pen against the desk as I try to structure a plan. I am a political journalist, not a detective. It's not my job description. I should be reporting on the strong relationship between the Ares Empire and Quilla and Diyar. I should be watching the general gallivanting along the aspects, drinking wine, smiling politely, and just writing. Instead, I somehow found myself spearheading an investigation that could not only spark a war between two nations, but also result in the end of my life. No pressure. I feel the nerves in my stomach like worms, eating me from the inside out. Should have skipped breakfast, and at this rate, I might skip dinner. You alright? You look like you want to murder your journal. Maybe I do. Which I do not recommend, by the way. Looks like a nice journal. Hello, Terra. Find myself torn from my thoughts by a voice I'm quickly growing acquainted with. Its owner leans against the open doorway, strong arms crossed in front of his chest. I knocked several times, but you didn't respond, so I let myself in. It took me a moment to realize that he was waiting for me to respond to his earlier inquiry. Say, I'm fine. He hums, his eyes studying me briefly. His gaze was piercing, as though he could see right through every little lie. Please, feel free to take a seat. I motioned to the chair in front of my desk and watched Terra's gaze flick briefly to it before moving back to me with a raised eyebrow. I don't mean to be disrespectful to your embassy's choice of furniture in saying this, but if I were to put my full weight onto that seat, I fear it wouldn't hold another person ever again. You are a mountain of a man, I can see that. It's very valid. And while I have no issue paying for those damages, I think I'd rather spare your ambassadors the embarrassment. A giggle escapes me as I process his words. Yes, a giggle always escapes me. This is probably the description for most of my streams. A giggle escapes me. Imagining the present ambassadors rushing over to apologize to the elves' Terra for their inadequate seating arrangements sounded like something of a local comedy skit. Alright then. On to the topic at hand. Alright, we'll just go ahead and go with the first one since we're going to end up asking all three anyway. Did you notice anything unusual happening in the hours before the incident? No, I was preoccupied. Any particular reason? He chuckles and the sound inexplicably takes a load off my shoulders. Some demigod enchantment, perhaps. I was releasing some pent-up energy. Through exercise? With Aqua. That's what I was wondering. Ew. It takes great effort for me to keep my pen moving against the paper, but the writing turns into an unintelligible scrawl. As his words sink in, I'm like, oh my gosh. It is too sexy. His expression is proof enough that he isn't teasing me. His lips are set into a firm line, his muscular arms crossed in front of his chest. After a few moments, when I'm certain my voice and expression are schooled, I continue that line of questioning. Oh, goodness. And is this a common occurrence? Interested in my bedroom activities already, investigator? Stop teasing me. He lifts an eyebrow, but answers my question before I can find the proper response. Common? No. He's easy on the eyes and has a rife tongue that shouldn't go unchecked. His demigod jurisdictions over water and love make him welcoming in more ways than one. That got me blushing. He shrugs casually as if he was talking about the weather while I am struggling to keep my wits about me. He knows what he's doing. The images were becoming vivid, and his dip in tone and subsequent smirk were not helping. The usual culprit to blame for our wild romps is stress. I want to scoff at the idea that anyone in position of power actually does any work instead of delegating it to some poor subordinate, but resist the urge. And what exactly does your job involve? Feel free to stop by my office in the Enclave of the Gods and find out. I can let you take a look at all of the organizational documents for this year's Dread Festival, if that would help you. His warm grin twists my stomach with something very different to my earlier fear. That would be great. Thank you. There's nothing to thank me about. We're on the same side. All right. So I guess we'll ask the why were you late on the morning of the incident? Some Elven business came up. Right before the beginning of the festival? When you live as long as I do, investigator, you come to realize that there's two kinds of business. There's the business you can put off and the business you can't. Usually, if you don't handle the first, it becomes the second. I try not to make that mistake. Yeah. It's very organized of you. I find myself smiling at his explanation. The compliment comes out accidentally, and it earns me a bright grin. Thank you. His tone softens slightly, a low warm rumble compared to his usual demanding voice. I almost find it difficult to focus on the work at hand. Can you tell me any more about the Elven business that made you late? Now, the smile on the Earth's aspect face doesn't shift. His tail bristles. I've seen enough small cats to know what that means. I've seen hobs enough to know what that means. No. Ooh, that look. Ooh, it cuts. Alarm bells go off in my head at the sudden shift in aura. The words ring between us in a cool, steely tone. I've hit a wall with this line of questioning. Or perhaps I realize it's simply best that I don't push it for now. Alright, my apologies. Better move on to another question quickly. Who do you think is responsible for the incident? The Terra's eyes narrow at my question, his lips pursing into a scowl. Whoever they are, they couldn't have escaped far. I put Omnis into lockdown. No one can leave or enter. That wasn't my question. His eyes, like molten gold, slid to me, and for a split second, I could imagine what it was like to be this man's enemy. Stand against a man who could move a mountain, literally. Someone or something that wishes to weaken us, to drive fear into the hearts of our people. And when I find them, I will tear them into pieces with my bare hands and let them rot on the altar of celebration until the crows have picked the meat clean from their remains and the birds have dissolved the bones with their shit. Dang. It takes me a moment to close my mouth and remember to write this down. Silence stretches out between us, the only sound of ink on paper before I look up at the demigod before me, and another question in mind. What could one hope to gain from ruining the opening ritual? Attempting to sow the seeds of panic and fear in our people is futile. Most of them have lived too long, or too emboldened by their love, faith, or hope to truly let one minor attempt on their lives shake centuries of mental and emotional training. So you believe the goal for this event is purely to free the goddess? That, or to shake Mors Mortis' position in our society. I pause, having completely missed this angle. Why would anyone attempt to damage the reputation of your demigod of death? Everyone tends to fear what they cannot understand, and hates what they cannot control. Mors Mortis has saved many lives, turned his district of death and afterlife into a sanctuary for survivors of the eternal war. And this is a problem? I feel a semblance of horror crawl up my spine at the implied alternative. Some would call it a weakness. Would you? I call it hope. I find it necessary. His undaunted response warms me, smothering the chill of horror with assurance. A knock sounds on the door, breaking us away from our session. The Terra's eyes move from the door to me, his lips pursed as he steps away from it. For a man so famous for his control, he sure has no problem giving it away. I half expected him to answer before I'd blink. Come in. The door creaks open and I find myself looking at a handsome, lithe, silver-haired elf who offers the Terra a low bow. Allura? You are needed in the square to help set up the fire dancing festival, Natura. Of course, I'll be right there. Though I'm annoyed by the interruption, I nod my head when Terra's gaze returns to me. I will see you at the fire dancing then, investigator? Do you have an appropriate clothes for the event? I find myself caught off guard by the question. I'll have some sent to your room before tonight then. Are you always buying strangers whole new wardrobes? Usually only those that ask nicely. His grin stirs in me something fierce. Ooh. Natura. I'm coming, Allura. He's out of the door before I can poke at his words, leaving my brain scrambled with information, my stomach with warmth. I'm looking down at my notes from the first 2 sessions and churning the new information in my brain. The door to my room swings open with such violence that I reach for the dagger underneath the desk. For a second time, the shadows grow deeper, darker, and I wonder if they're moving on their own before the general marches into my room unannounced. With 4 quick strides of his long legs, he reaches my desk, his tall form blocking out the rays of the sun from the nearby window like a storm cloud. A thick stack of papers is deposited unceremoniously onto my desk, and it takes everything within me not to wince as I notice the smudges of various shades of red and brown along the inky scrawl upon them. I put the dagger back in its desk sheath and make up to get up and bow, but he raises a hand to stop me. I will not stay. I have taken up the task of personally questioning everyone from our delegation who prayed in front of the wax this morning. I feel the blood drain from my face as my eyes flit between him and a stack of papers before me. I clear my throat to help find my voice. Did you find anything of note? His eyes narrowed with unfiltered annoyance. So angry. No. He turns around heading for the door, just as abruptly as he entered through it, each shelf increasing the anxiety settling onto my shoulders. Question him. Shadow Master, with all due respect, I would also like to ask you a few questions. My breathing halts the moment his footsteps do. I remind myself to count to 10, to move, to show signs of life as he levels me with one of his famous glares, and the shadows in the room darken. Consider these 10 minutes of my time charity for a lost cause. My breathing resumes with a huff, and I am quickly reminded of my dislike for the disrespect of the ruling generals of Ares. Annoyance washes over my fear, steadying me as I flip open a new page on my journal. Let's see. You've been to the Dread Festival before. Did you notice anything different in his setup this time around? The elves knew Aqua threw the welcoming party yesterday night. He reeks of trouble. I raised my eyebrow at the observation as I scribbled the pointless answer down. Perhaps the Shadow Master used salty wine and trouble interchangeably. I wouldn't be surprised, considering the stick up his ass. Could you elaborate? His cocky, impulsive, and attention seeker with zero regard for the consequences of his actions. Could it be that he was still bothered by the way Aqua flirted with him in front of everyone? I pushed the thought down, ignoring the urge to smirk. The current Aqua has been present and active for the 2 previous Dread Festivals as well, but no incidents occurred then. I point out my tone professional, controlled, earning me a scowl from the man before me. The Shadow Master opens his mouth and seems to think better of what he wants to say and closes it, glancing pointedly at the clock on my desk instead. I do my best to ignore the way this annoys me. Who do you think is responsible for the incident? The seals placed upon the children of evil are of ancient, complicated magic. The rules all mortal simpletons from our delegation out of the list of culprits at the very least. I purse my lips, ignoring the stab this asshole just lightheartedly made at my intelligence as he keeps talking. Whether it is a conscious betrayal or a hand guided by the anger of a god, those who would know to unseal a tomb bound by a millennia-old spell could likely be counted on the fingers of one hand. My hand freezes midair. The unspoken words linger between us for a few moments before I finally press my quill to the pages of the journal again, seemingly snapping the journal from his continued unspoken thoughts. His gaze flits to me and then to the space around me before he crosses his arms over his chest. His lips set into a firm line as if he knows what I'll ask him before I open my mouth. You intend to question the gods? The Terra and his high priests and priestesses can communicate with the original gods in bits and pieces. They know their intentions, their views, see the shifts of the divine web before any mortal can. You think the Terra knew this could happen? He scoffs, one foot tapping impatiently against the wooden floor. If he is as powerful as he says he is, then he should be aware of most fates woven by the fingers of the gods. What do you think was the aim of whoever is responsible for the incident? This winter bore the greatest losses ever seen by this long-enduring alliance. Some would blame the Elven leadership for the grave numbers. Others might blame us. You think someone is trying to stage a power coup? Shadow Master shrugs, and the action is human enough that I find myself staring. Whoever they are, only the gods can save them now. And they better pray long and hard because the chance of survival after that stunt is zero. His eyes glitter like sharp ruby gems. I recognize those words to be not a belief, but a promise. The complex web of information only seems to grow thicker and more convoluted. I hate to admit it, but the General has given me a lot to think about in the last minutes. My brain is running at 1,000,000 miles per hour as I flit between the pages of information, picking through the bits and pieces I find important. Whatever question I want to ask next, however, doesn't see the pages as I hear his boots begin moving towards the door. Thank him. I glance upon my papers as he pulls the door open. Thank you for your time, General. His gaze flickers in my direction briefly as he pauses in the entryway. Do make an effort not to get yourself killed, investigator. I will try to stay alive. Not everyone loves obnoxious butt-ends meddling around in their business. He steps out and shuts the door behind him, leaving me staring indignantly at the space he just left. My earlier bout of fear completely forgotten, now replaced with a warm, bully rage slithering underneath my chest. If it wasn't an embassy building, I would scream. What a fucking ass. Oh, goodness. Still up here and love it. Give me strength. Who do I investigate? There's only one left. My head feels like it's swimming as I attempt to piece everything together. Nothing makes sense. There is still too much information I lack and too little time to figure this out. I feel restless. The squeezing of my stomach from nerves, doubled by the rapidly growing hunger for something more serious than a cup of tea, forces me out of my chair and to my door with the amount of stress I'm under. If I don't eat anything, I might fall sick. Then I'd really doomed us all. A light meal would have to suffice. Oh, hello. Pulling the door open, I find myself staring back at two pairs of surprised green eyes. The aspect of death, one dark hand pulled into a fist, seems to have just been about to knock. Instead, he clears his throat and hides his hand back under his long cloak. I've come at a bad time. Steps back, serene, entirely different from the previous burning display of anger at the city square. It's all right, Natura. I was about to step out for lunch. I see. Then I won't keep you in my presence. That won't work for me. I desperately need answers. Let's see. Would you like to join me for lunch? Actually, if it isn't entirely too bold of an invitation, considering the difference in our stations, you could join me? This way we won't waste time. Four eyes blink at me, then scan me from the top to bottom with distrust. For lunch? Whatever he sees in my following little nods seems to melt away his suspicions, replacing them with curiosity instead. He motions for me to walk ahead, and I do just that, a polite silence blanketing the space between us as we make our way into the embassy's canteen. It's a small but well-lit decorated place with 3 rotating tables covered in banquet-style dishes for self-service. One tall window allows for daylight to enter and envelop the whole room. When I move to sit into one of the comfortable wooden chairs, Mors Mortis is quick to pull it out from behind me, surprising me as he pushes it underneath me after. Such a gentleman. Would you be comfortable with having me sit beside you, or would you prefer me to have seated across? This question puzzles me, and I catch Mors Mortis once again scanning my face, searching for who knows what as I shrug. Sit wherever, Natura. We are in your city. And in your embassy, investigator. Do not forget that. I blink as he takes a seat beside me and lowers his hood. The eyes on his cheekbones scan through the dishes on display. Ask away. So I do just that. Did you notice anything unusual happening in the hours before the incident? He's pulled out the ears to distract me. Joke out. Hours is a very broad amount of time. But yes, many things caught my attention. For one, my invisibility cloak has disappeared. Ooh, scandalous. The joke is on my tongue, but I resist interrupting, stamping it down like any other intrusive thought. Don't let the intrusive thoughts win. I couldn't complete my afternoon patrol yesterday because I was saving a soul in distress from sudden rain. Oops, it's me. Feel his eyes linger pointedly on me as I write that down. And the dead, their immortal souls were restless. He frowns, his ears twitching. Even still, their bones seek to leave their graves through their flesh has been cleaved and turned to wax. How can you tell? I can see them, hear them, feel them, talk to them. His gaze shifts briefly to something above my shoulder. I follow his gaze, but spot nothing. A sigh escapes him before his gaze turns to the table and the food before me. But I'm not sure I have the stomach for anything after that conversation. I must, however, persevere. Can the dead interfere with the ritual? Yes and no. Souls have no magic of their own, so while they can wail and bemoan anything, they technically can't interfere with anything physical. Tomb dwellers, on the other hand, bones raised to mindless undeath from magical anomalies, and incorrect spellcasting can always do harm. How so? They're made of magic and death, and they go around spreading magic and death until they run out and crumble to dust. They're dangerous because they lack any cognizance. But they are terribly rare. We scarcely see more than 1 or 2 a season. You sound certain that the dead aren't responsible for the escape of the Scion of Chaos. They have no motive, as simple as that. He sounds convinced. I look up from my notebook to face him with my next question, and the pair of eyes on his cheekbones focused on me, though the rest of him appears to be looking away. They crinkle around the edges, almost imperceptibly, before directing their interest elsewhere. Was the ritual tampered with? Yes. How? Mors Mortis' eyes fall on the empty plate in front of me. They were runic configurations on the inside of the cauldron. I blink in surprise. Runes are ancient symbols imbued with magic, most commonly used for spellcasting. But runic is a dead language. Is anything truly dead if memory of it still lingers? Ew. The aspect of death rotates the traditional table such that the vegetable dishes face us rather than the meat-centric ones. Either this man is vegetarian or he has astonishing insight into those around him. I thank him and quietly pile some pickled vegetables onto my plate, pondering his last words. When I look back at him, I notice his ears have sharpened and his bustling tail is frozen in place. It's as if he's listening for something I can't hear. The eyes on his cheekbones have shifted their attention elsewhere. His features soften after a split second, and he turns his full focus back to me. You're not going to eat? I can pretend to consume food if that would make you touch yours. Are you not hungry? I have no appetite after this morning. Too many eyes narrowed in a way I don't like. Pick up my chopsticks, attempting to be casual in my following questions as I place a bit of some pickled green tomato into my mouth, make an effort to chew it. It's delicious, quite likely because I am terribly hungry despite the nerves that refuse to settle in my stomach. Do you truly believe the culprit is from our delegation? An uncomfortable pause stretches between us as I swallow and watch him frown. The opening ritual of wax has been performed for almost 2 millennia, and there's never been an issue. He sounds almost resigned as he answers, it seems that when it comes down to this investigation, he's a closed book. The only peripheral factors every year are the guests, then. He nods, and I find myself begrudgingly agreeing with his logic, but there's a flaw within it. If the guests every year are different, there shouldn't be anyone from our delegation who knows where to find all the tools needed in 12 hours to tamper with your ritual. I'm back! Welcome back, Scott. How's it going? We're questioning our last hottie about the incident. How are you doing, babe? My words earn me a quick nod, but there is something uncertain about it that spurs me on. His eye contains a sparkle that speaks to me. I'm missing something, but what? It's good. It's nice. It's four-eyed Sephiroth with puppy ears. I feel like he took off his hood just to distract me because I'm like, he's got cute little puppy ears. He has a tail I cannot see. Or I don't think I can see. The truth hits me so suddenly that I want to vomit. An accusation that, if made within the walls of the Ares Empire, could end with my death at the very least. I find my hands shaking as I try to figure out a way to put thoughts into ink without securing my own legally sanctioned murder. The generals are reoccurring guests. The Shadow Master had attended the Dread Festival many times before, and his speed and agility were legendary, a source of increased battle morale of many Assyrian armies. Perhaps porridge would be better on your empty stomach. I exhaling nod, but make no move to serve myself any, my fingers still frozen from thoughts inspired by unspoken truths. Who do you think is responsible for the incident? ... The aspect of Death's expression turns unreadable. His eyes flicker away. A shadow falls across his face, and I know that he's thought on this already. For some reason, however, he refuses to share. His silence lasts long enough that I'm inclined to write down, refuses to respond in my journal. It's fair. I pick up my chopsticks and take a quick couple of bites of the pickled carrots as I considered how to follow up with the lack of reply. Do the spirits know who's behind the freed goddess? They are restless. They speculate, just like us. Their voices have been so many that it's not only difficult to tune them out, but also impossible to make out anything any of them are saying unless I implicitly concentrate. I need more time to speak with the city's roaming spirits, but when I have an answer, I will let you know. I should leave you to the pleasures within the plates. I barely had a moment to blink as the aspect of death rose from his chair and put his hood back on. His cloak carried behind him a scent of fallen autumn leaves and burning candles. He hadn't had a bite or sip as he made his way to the door. His eyes flickered once more again to me, and then behind me, something of a smile crossed his lips. Remember, be a rat, not a lamb. The less meat on the bones, the less satisfying the prey. Okay. Interesting advice there. And we have finished playing. Well, I think this game has a lot of promise. Like we had mentioned before, the artwork in this game, whether it's the Hotties that are the main characters or the wonderful scenery in the background, it is gorgeous. The artwork's done with a lot of care. The story writing, I love how everything is written. It's very lovely, descriptive. It gives a good tone for everything with the characters. I do hope their Kickstarter does well so they can get the voice acting and such that they need. But you can wishlist it on Steam. You can check it out on Instagram and such. But oh, hey, we can look in the CGs. But yes, you think it has big potential. I do too. Like, yes, there's the romance to it, but like, I think the story is pretty interesting. The ritual is broken and the goddess of chaos is released. And see, like, it's just gorgeous scenery with the characters, with a lot of cool details in them. They're Scott's favorite. But there's been a lot of like world building and stuff that they have done. And I love the cute ears. Oh goodness. Har har. I love you, babe. But I am interested, like I said, not just for the romance option, but I think the story is going to be fun too. So I definitely recommend checking this out. Thanks for hanging out, Via. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, anyone who was lurking. Y'all be kind to yourself. Be kind to others, but don't take any crap. And I'll see you next time. Bye.